Hi,
Hello,
I'm Braxton,
I'm Zach.
and we are
From Old to New.
And
And
today we are reviewing The Matrix.
Resurrections. Now,
Now,
I feel like with this film, as a fan of The Matrix, I enjoyed the first one and the other two ones of the trilogy. But I feel like this one, in terms of necessity to the plot, you don't need to watch it.
well, I mean, we don't want to say don't watch it. If you want to watch it, you can.
Yeah,
but if you hadn't seen the other ones, like this one, it kind of sucked, really.
Yeah.
This is basically like a fan service movie.
But it's like not. It's kind of like they tried too hard with the fan service.
Yeah. So basically, the plot is the Matrix has been rebooted. Neo is now a video game designer, and the Matrix trilogy, the trilogy of movies, is a video game series.
Which I thought was a great idea by the machines, whoever came up with that, because I feel like if you believe that everything that happened to you was made up, then you have an easier time just believing it's fake.
Yes.
So, and then eventually suddenly we enter into more meta territory where his company is now forcing him to make Matrix 4.
Yes.
And the company that's forcing him is Warner Brothers.
Yes.
I feel like at that, and everyone just ends up, while they're making it, they talk about it's about crypto-fascism or free will, all that stuff.
Yeah. This movie is being meta by being meta,
Yeah,
if that
basically
makes sense.
Neo eventually is reached out by a program version of Morpheus from his own video game, and a couple of rogue crew members in the real world.
Yes.
And eventually he is freed, but he learns the truth that, he was imprisoned again and was being used as like a new power source by the machines.
Yes. And also a thing that I found interesting is that Neo has to take a certain kind of medication in the movie, and they're all blue pills. And so when the Morpheus shows up in the movie, he gives him a red pill. And I just thought that was kind of interesting.
Yeah, I felt like, it's like subconsciously each time he takes those medications, he's just accepting reality. But the minute he stopped taking them, it's like, okay, I think I'm ready to stop facing reality. And so, Neo now escapes, he's wanting to, but he finds out, he wasn't alone trapped there. Trinity turns out to be alive, is put back into the Matrix as well.
Yes. And she is now a mother and has no recollection. Like, she just thinks the Matrix is a video game that her son plays.
Yeah, and so Neo is taken back to Io, a new city of Zion, and he finds they're way more advanced than he originally thought 60 years ago. So now they're working together with programs and machines that turned away from them. He even catches up with Niobe and learns about what happened to Morpheus and all them.
Yes. And there's some really cool action sequences in this movie. I mean, there's, like we said, there's a lot of fan service. So, the first movie where they have that fight in, the train station or whatever, they kind of have a little hint and nod to that by another action sequence in this movie.
Yeah. Also, so Neo, I feel like action sequences aside, it didn't really match. I feel like it didn't match up well with the original, aesthetic of the Matrix and their special effects.
Yeah, like we said, this movie, it's decent, but it feels pointless.
Yeah, I mean, that's nowhere to the actors. I mean, the
actors and the people that made it, we're not saying oh, you wasted your time and it's not a good movie and you did a horrible job. It's more just it wasn't really necessary.
Yeah.
If you haven't seen this movie, if you haven't seen any of the Matrix movies, you could probably watch this movie without knowing anything, and you'd probably love it.
Yeah. But if you're kind of going into it knowing what you know, it's wow.
Yeah, it's
whereas Neo would say, whoa.
Yeah, really, overall, it's an okay movie. I'd probably give it a 5 or 6 out of 10.
Yeah. And so I kind of give it around that too. But so Neo, he goes back into the Matrix, tries to get Trinity, but turns out when he escaped, he also reawakened his old friend, Agent Smith.
Yes. And Agent Smith is now re-embodied,
Yes.
so to speak. So it's not Hugo Weaving. I think it's the actor's name.
Yeah, it's now Jonathan Groff.
Yeah.
And so he eventually, battles Agent Smith and some other rogue programs that were supposedly deleted from the Matrix, including the Merovingian from the second and third movie. And eventually catches up to Trinity, but he is stopped by his therapist, who turns out is a program known as the Analyst, who took over for the Architect.
Yes. And so this big old battle ensues, and it's a Matrix movie.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
Neo is then he meets back up with Sadi from the third Matrix movie, who in this case kind of takes the role of the Oracle.
Yeah.
And so he and the other crew members come up with a plan to get Trinity out. Eventually they wake her up and start to get her out, but the Analyst goes back on his word to let them go, and was about to take him over when eventually Neo is saved, ironically, by his old enemy, Agent Smith.
Yeah.
Which I thought was kind of like a nice twist. I feel like Smith, he's just fighting because he wants to be free too.
Yeah.
That's always been like his thing. He's wanting to be free of the programming.
Mm-hmm.
And kind of like by helping Neo, he can remain free. So like they escape. Neo and Trinity go on the run out of the Matrix, and they do eventually escape. Where it turns out Trinity now has Neo's abilities as well.
Yeah. So. Anything else?
Yes, and at the end they reunite not only in the computer world but also the real world, and in the end they decide they're going to like continue to free programs and other human beings and try to stop them, and that's where the movie ends.
So, yeah, overall, like we said, if you hadn't seen The Matrix and you're deciding just to go in and watch this one, you'll probably enjoy it.
Yeah.
But especially if you've watched the first one, it's nowhere near the level of...
Yeah, awesomeness is the first three.
Yeah.
So thanks for listening out for us, and I hope you all enjoyed the movies like we did, and we'll see you again soon.
All right. Peace.
Peace.